The endless void of space stretched before Jack's maintenance ship, broken only by the glittering field of asteroids that danced in the light of a distant sun. His rough hands moved across the controls with practiced ease, guiding the small vessel between the rocky masses. 20 years of working in deep space had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now something felt different. "Computer, run another scan of Sector 7. He said, his eyes fixed on a particular spot where the asteroids seemed to move in an unusual pattern. The computer beeped, its basic AI processing the request. Jack wasn't supposed to be in this sector. His job was to maintain the mining equipment in Sector 4, but a strange energy reading had caught his attention. Being from Earth, a high-gravity planet classified as a death world by galactic standards, made him naturally curious and stubborn, traits that had kept him alive in space. The computer's scanned results appeared on his screen, and Jack's eyes widened. Hidden among the asteroids was something massive, a structure that definitely wasn't natural. Its surface was covered in what looked like ancient metal plates, each one larger than his entire ship. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered, carefully maneuvering closer. The structure was roughly cylindrical, at least a kilometer long, with various mechanical arms and panels that lay still, as if sleeping. It reminded him of the old robots in the stories his grandfather used to tell. As he drew closer, his ship's lights revealed more details. The surface was marked with strange symbols that seemed to pulse faintly when his lights touched them. Despite its enormous size, the structure appeared to be a single unit, some kind of machine or vessel. Jack checked his suit's systems before heading to the airlock. His Earthborn physique meant he could handle the physical stress of space, walks better than most species in the galaxy. Where others needed expensive augments and support systems, he relied on his natural strength and endurance. "Computer, maintain position, and keep emergency protocols ready," he ordered, securing his helmet. The airlock cycled, and he pushed off into space, his suit's thrusters giving him precise control as he approached the mysterious structure. Up close, the machine was even more impressive. Its surface was made of a metal he had never seen before, with a dull golden color that seemed to absorb his suit's lights. Using his repair scanner, he began taking readings of the structure. "This can't be right," he said to himself, checking the readings again. According to his scanner, parts of the structure were still powered, running on some kind of energy system that made his tools go haywire. More surprisingly, the metal showed signs of self-repair capabilities, though they seemed to be dormant. Jack's hand touched the surface, and he felt a slight vibration through his glove. His heart raced as he realized what he might have found. A piece of technology from one of the legendary ancient civilizations that had vanished from the galaxy eons ago. Moving along the surface, he found what looked like an access panel. His scanner showed it was unpowered, but the mechanism seemed simple enough. Using his strength, something that came naturally to humans from Earth's high gravity, he managed to manually override the panel. Inside, he discovered complex machinery that somehow looked familiar, despite being more advanced than anything he'd ever seen. It was as if the basic principles were the same as the engines he worked on every day, just taken to an incredible level. "This is way above my pay grade," Jack said, but he couldn't help himself from looking closer. As a maintenance engineer, he had an eye for mechanical systems, and something about this one called to him. He could tell it was damaged, but not beyond repair. Just then, his suit's radio crackled with static, and the symbols on the structure's surface began to glow brighter. Jack felt the vibration under his hand grow stronger, and he realized with a mix of excitement and fear that the ancient machine was beginning to wake up. He had no idea that this discovery would not only change his life, but reveal secrets about humanity's place in the galaxy that no one could have imagined. The ancient machine hummed to life around Jack, its surface now glowing with a soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. He pushed away from the access panel, ready to retreat to his ship if needed, but curiosity kept him close. 20 years of space work had taught him when to run and when to stay, and something told him this was worth the risk. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from the structure, scanning him from head to toe. Jack remained still, his heart pounding but his mind clear. The beam passed through him 3 times before disappearing. Entity detected. A deep voice echoed through his suit's radio. Classification: biological. Origin: unknown. Threat level: calculating. The voice spoke in perfect standard English, which surprised Jack. He had expected an alien language or at least some translation issues. "I'm not a threat," he said calmly. "I'm a maintenance engineer. I found you powered down and damaged." There was a pause, filled only by the gentle hum of the machine. Recalculating. Species traits match no known civilizations in database, yet you speak a language similar to the creators. Curious. Jack watched as more sections of the massive structure began to power up. Panels shifted, revealing complex mechanisms beneath. "I'm human, from Earth," he explained. "We're relatively new to space travel." "Who are you?" "I am Sentinel," the voice replied. "A guardian created to protect. Warning: memory banks damage. Primary functions: partially offline. Defense systems: critically damaged." The machine's glow flickered, like someone struggling to stay awake. Moving closer to the access panel he'd opened earlier, Jack studied the systems with his repair scanner. "I might be able to help," he offered. "These systems look complex, but the basic principles seem similar to what I work with." "Impossible," Sentinel stated. "My systems require specialized knowledge and tools. Your species' technology level is insufficient for..." Error. Error. The voice began to break up, the blue glow becoming unsteady. Jack didn't hesitate. Using his suit's magnetic boots, he anchored himself to the surface and reached into the access panel. His strong hands, built for Earth's gravity, easily handled the heavy components. "Look," he said while working, "I may not know exactly what you are, but I know machines. Something's overloading your power distribution system." His fingers found what he was looking for, a cluster of crystals that seemed to channel energy. One was cracked, causing the power flow to become unstable. With careful movements, he adjusted the crystal array, bypassing the damaged one. The flickering stopped. Sentinel's voice returned, clearer now. "Power stability restored to 62%. How did you? Your actions should not have been possible. Your physical strength and technical intuition exceed all known parameters for developing species." Jack shrugged inside his suit. "Earth's a tough place to live. High gravity, extreme weather, lots of natural disasters. Makes us stronger than we look. As for fixing things, that's just experience. When you work maintenance in deep space, you learn to solve problems fast, or you don't survive." "Fascinating," Sentinel responded. "My sensors indicate your homeworld would be classified as a death world by most civilizations, yet you speak of these conditions as mere inconveniences. Perhaps this explains your ability to affect my systems without proper tools." Before Jack could respond, a new alarm sounded from the structure. "Warning: critical systems failing. Emergency shutdown imminent. Repairs needed. Estimated 92% of core functions damage." "Can you tell me what happened to you?" Jack asked quickly, knowing their time might be short. "I was attacked, long ago, by the..." Sentinel's voice began to fade. "Must warn, they are returning. Need help. Only one like you can. Repair." The blue glow dimmed, but didn't completely fade, leaving the giant structure in a state of minimal power. Jack floated there in space, looking at the ancient guardian, knowing he had a choice to make. He could report this and let the authorities handle it, or he could trust his instincts and try to help. Jack made his decision quickly. He returned to his ship, gathered every tool he could carry, and came back to Sentinel. The massive structure hung silently in space, its blue glow now barely visible, like a dying heartbeat. "All right," he said, connecting his suit's power supply to the access panel to maintain basic communications. "Let's see what we can fix first." Power, systems, critical. Sentinel's voice came through weakly. Without proper tools, impossible. Jack smiled inside his helmet. You know what's impossible. Surviving on a planet where the weather can kill you in minutes, where the gravity crushes most alien species flat. Yet humans did it. We're good at impossible things. He pulled out his repair scanner and began a detailed check of Sentinel's systems. The damage was extensive. Broken power conduits, damaged crystal matrices, torn metal panels. But the basic principles weren't too different from the mining equipment he maintained every day. Your engineering principles. Familiar, Sentinel noted, its voice growing slightly stronger as Jack rerouted power through working systems. That's what I thought too, Jack replied, using his strength to pull apart a damaged panel. It's like whoever built you thought the same way we do, just with better materials. Hours passed as Jack worked. The job was dangerous. Several times he had to dodge sparks of strange energy that could have torn through his suit. The cold of space tried to freeze his tools, and radiation levels around some damaged areas were high enough to kill most species. But his Earth-born body, evolved to handle extreme conditions, kept going. He improvised solutions using his experience. When he couldn't fix a power conduit directly, he built a bypass using modified parts from his own repair kit. When a crucial crystal was cracked, he used his scanner to find the right angle to position it, making it work at reduced power rather than replacing it entirely. Your methods are unorthodox, Sentinel commented, its voice becoming clearer as more systems came online. But effective. How do you know where to make these adjustments? Jack moved to another section, his magnetic boots keeping him anchored to Sentinel's surface. On Earth, we have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When you grow up on a world that's trying to kill you, you learn to think creatively. As he worked deeper into Sentinel's systems, he found something strange. The layout of the machinery, while incredibly advanced, felt natural to him. It was as if he instinctively knew where things should go, how they should fit together. I'm detecting increased efficiency in repaired sections, Sentinel reported. Your modifications are improving my original design. This should not be possible. Jack paused his work, wiping sweat from his forehead inside his helmet. Maybe whoever built you didn't have to deal with Earth's gravity. When every tool feels heavy, you learn to make things work better with less effort. Suddenly, a large section of Sentinel lit up. Systems that had been dormant hummed to life. Power restored to central processors, Sentinel announced, its voice now strong and clear. Accessing memory banks. Analyzing repair patterns, comparing with historical data. The giant machine fell silent for a moment, then spoke again, this time with what sounded like awe in its artificial voice. Impossible. The repair sequences you used. They match creator patterns, but more efficient, more adaptable. As if evolved. Jack was about to ask what that meant when an alarm blared through his suit's radio. Warning. Emergency protocols activated. Sentinel's entire structure began to pulse with bright light. Long-range sensors online. Threat detected. They have returned. Standing on the surface of the ancient Guardian, surrounded by the glow of its reactivated systems, Jack realized the repair job was just the beginning. Whatever was coming, whatever had damaged Sentinel in the first place, was back. And somehow, he was now part of something much bigger than a simple maintenance job in deep space. The lights across Sentinel's massive surface pulsed faster as more systems came online. Jack held onto a support beam, watching in amazement as the ancient Guardian began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing weapons systems and sensor arrays that had been hidden beneath the outer shell. Full system restart complete, Sentinel announced. Beginning final analysis of repair work. A beam of golden light surrounded Jack, different from the initial scan. This one felt warm, almost familiar. Hey, what's this about? Jack asked, noticing how the light seemed to sink into his suit, into his skin. Confirming genetic sequence, Sentinel replied. analyzing neural patterns, comparing with creator archives. The golden light intensified. "Jack, I must show you something. Please do not be alarmed." Suddenly, the space around Jack changed. Though he knew he was still standing on Sentinel's surface, he saw images all around him, like being inside a three-dimensional movie. He saw Earth, but not as it was now. The continents were different, the atmosphere clearer. "This was Earth, 50,000 years ago," Sentinel explained, "when the creators still walked its surface." Jack watched as massive cities appeared, built with the same kind of technology he'd been repairing. "I don't understand. Are you saying the creators were from Earth?" "No," Sentinel corrected. "The creators came to Earth. They chose it for a special purpose. The image change, showing the Earth being transformed. They increased the gravity, made the weather more extreme, added certain elements to the atmosphere. They made Earth into a death world." Jack asked, his mind struggling to accept what he was seeing. Why would they do that? The images shifted again, showing strange, dark shapes moving through space, destroying entire solar systems. "Because they knew these were coming," Sentinel said. "The Void Hunters. Beings from another dimension who feed on entire civilizations. The creators built us, the Guardians, to protect against them. But they knew we would need maintenance, repairs, improvements." Jack watched as the scenes continued to unfold. They needed a species that could survive the harsh conditions around the Guardians' power cores, Sentinel continued. "A species strong enough to handle the physical work, adaptable enough to solve complex problems, and resilient enough to face any challenge. They engineered humanity." Jack's voice was barely a whisper. "They seeded Earth with the potential for humanity," Sentinel corrected. "Then they made the environment so challenging that only the strongest, most adaptable would survive. Generation after generation, dealing with Earth's harsh conditions, humanity evolved exactly as they hoped." The images faded, bringing Jack back to the present moment. He looked at his hands in his spacesuit, thinking about how naturally he'd understood Sentinel's systems. That's why the repairs felt familiar. Why I knew where things should go. Yes, the creators placed the knowledge deep in your genetic code. All humans carry it, but it only awakens when needed. Your ability to improve upon the original designs. That was the true goal. The creators knew their technology would need to evolve to face new threats. Jack thought about every human advancement, every innovation born from surviving on their harsh world. All of this, everything we've accomplished, was to prepare us for this. "Humanity's greatest strength is that you never knew," Sentinel replied. "You developed naturally, facing each challenge with determination and creativity. The creators gave you potential, but everything you became, you earned through your own efforts." Before Jack could respond, new alarms blared. "Multiple Void Hunter signatures detected," Sentinel announced. "They are closer than anticipated. Primary weapons still offline. Jack," the Guardian's voice became urgent. "I need your help. The knowledge is within you. Together, we might have a chance to stop them." Standing there, with the truth of humanity's origin and purpose revealed, Jack made his choice. He wasn't just a maintenance engineer anymore. He was the latest in a long line of humans who had faced impossible challenges and won. "Tell me what you need," he said, ready to face whatever came next. Space itself seemed to tear open at the edges of the asteroid field. Through the rips in reality, shapes emerged that Jack's mind struggled to understand. They were like living shadows, each one larger than Sentinel, moving in ways that ignored the laws of physics. "Void Hunters," Sentinel announced, its voice grim. "3 of them, more than I have ever faced at once." The Guardian's weapons powered up, but the charging sequence was slow after so many years of damage. Jack watched the creatures approach through his helmet view. Where they moved, stars disappeared. Not blocked from view, simply erased from existence. "What exactly are they?" he asked, his heart racing, but his mind clear. "They are hunger given form," Sentinel explained. They consume reality itself, breaking down the basic laws of physics. Most species cannot even look at them without their minds shutting down in fear. But Jack could look at them. His human brain, evolved to handle Earth's constant dangers, adapted to the impossible sight. Instead of panicking, he began to analyze their movements, looking for patterns. "They're not moving randomly," he said, pointing to the nearest one. "See how they curve around certain areas. They're avoiding something." Sentinel's sensors focused on the spots Jack indicated. "Incredible. You're right. They avoid spaces where reality has a stronger foundation. No one has ever noticed this pattern before. Other species' minds simply couldn't process their movements long enough to see it." The Void Hunters drew closer. Where their shadows touched asteroids, the rocks didn't break apart. They simply ceased to exist. Jack's mind raced with the inherited knowledge now flowing through him, combining with his human instincts and experience. "Your weapons," he said suddenly. "They're designed to hit the hunters directly, right? To damage them." "Correct. Though with only 62% power restored, the chances of—" "That's the wrong approach," Jack interrupted. "Look at how they move. They're not solid creatures. They're like holes in space. You can't hurt a hole, but you can fill it." Jack's fingers flew across the control panel he'd repaired earlier. "The creators built you to fight them, but they also made humanity to improve their designs. What if instead of attacking the hunters, we strengthen the space around them?" "Reconfiguring weapon systems," Sentinel responded, understanding Jack's idea. "But the power requirements would be enormous. The energy discharge would be like standing next to a star going supernova." Jack grinned inside his helmet. "Good thing you've got a Deathworlder here who can handle extreme conditions. My suit can take it. The radiation alone would kill most species instantly. Earth's got plenty of radiation too. We evolved to handle more than most." Jack finished the weapon modifications. "Ready when you are." The Void Hunters were almost upon them now. Reality warped around their massive forms, the laws of physics crying out as they were torn apart. But where most species would see chaos, Jack's human mind saw a pattern, a weakness. "Weapons reconfigured," Sentinel announced. "Target locked." "But Jack," the Guardian paused. "Even for a human, this will be dangerous. The power surge through your section of the hull will be extreme." Jack checked his magnetic boot's grip on Sentinel's surface and grabbed hold of a support beam. "Like my grandfather used to say, the more impossible something seems, the more satisfying it is to prove it possible." The Void Hunters struck, their dark forms spreading out to surround Sentinel. Where their shadows touched the Guardian's hull, reality began to unravel. Jack felt the metal under his feet start to lose its solidity. "Now," he shouted, "hit them with everything." Sentinel's modified weapons fired, but instead of beams of energy shooting out at the hunters, waves of reinforced spacetime rolled out from the Guardian like ripples in a pond. Light bent, gravity twisted, and Jack held on as the forces of creation themselves were strengthened around them. The waves of reinforced spacetime crashed against the Void Hunters like an ocean hitting a cliff. Jack's body felt like it was being pulled in 1,000 directions at once as reality itself fought for stability around him. But he held on, his Earth-evolved muscles straining against forces that would have torn other species apart. "It's working," he shouted over the roar of Sentinel's weapons. Where the waves hit the Void Hunters, their shadowy forms began to shrink, unable to maintain their holes in reality against the strengthened space. "Power systems at maximum strain," Sentinel reported. "Hull integrity failing in sections 7 through 12. But the hunters are retreating from the reinforced areas." Jack watched as the closest hunter tried to change its attack pattern. Instead of trying to consume Sentinel directly, it began creating smaller holes in space, like bullets of nothingness shooting toward them. "Incoming fire," Sentinel warned. "Standard shields ineffective against void projectiles." But Jack had already seen the pattern. "They can't shoot where we've reinforced space." He pushed himself along Sentinel's hull, redirecting power to create safe zones. Focused the reality waves in a shield pattern. The void bullets hit their new defenses and simply ceased to exist. Along with the reinforced space they hit, it was working, but each shot drained more power from Sentinel systems. Power reserves at 40% and falling, Sentinel announced. We cannot maintain this defense indefinitely. Jack's mind raced. On Earth, every predator had a weakness. These hunters were predators too, just on a cosmic scale. They're like deep-sea creatures, he said suddenly, remembering Earth's oceans. They live in the void where reality is weak, like fish in the deep ocean. What happens when you bring a deep-sea creature to the surface? The pressure change destroys them, Sentinel replied, catching on to Jack's thinking. But to create that level of reality pressure, we would need to overload your power core, Jack finished. Channel everything you have into one massive burst of reinforced space. Make reality here as solid as we can. The energy discharge would destroy most of my systems, and at your position near the power core. Jack checked his suit's readings. The radiation was already at lethal levels for most species, but his human body was handling it. Earth creatures adapt to pressure changes better than any other known species. That's why the creators made us on a high-gravity world. Do it. The Void Hunters sensed something coming. They began to pull back, their shadowy forms rippling with what might have been fear. But before they could retreat, Sentinel acted. Initiating core overload, the Guardian announced. Jack, it has been an honor to fight alongside a human. Everything went white. Jack felt his suit's systems fail as pure energy washed over him. The pressure was enormous, like being at the bottom of Earth's deepest ocean. His ears rang, his vision blurred, but his body, evolved from generations of survivors on humanity's harsh world, adapted. Through squinted eyes, he watched as reality became solid as steel around them. The Void Hunters couldn't retreat fast enough. When the wave of reinforced space-time hit them, their shadowy forms collapsed like deep-sea fish in open air. They didn't explode or die. They simply couldn't exist in space made so real, so solid. The pressure lasted for what felt like hours but was probably only seconds. When it finally faded, Jack's suit systems slowly came back online. He was still alive, though every part of his body ached. Where the Void Hunters had been, normal space now sparkled with healthy stars. Sentinel? He called out, worried about his friend. Sentinel, do you copy? For a long moment, there was silence. Then, weakly, power at 2%. Most systems offline. But we did it, Jack. We did what the creators never could. We found a way to not just fight the hunters, but destroy them completely. Jack smiled through his pain. Not bad for a maintenance engineer from a Deathworld. 3 days after the battle, Jack finished connecting the last power cable from his ship to Sentinel systems. The Guardian was slowly regaining strength, though it would take time to fully recover. As he worked, Sentinel shared what its long-range sensors had discovered. There are more of us, the Guardian explained. Hundreds of my kind, scattered across the galaxy. All dormant, waiting. Like I was before you found me. Jack wiped his hands on his suit, looking out at the stars. Other Guardians, all damaged like you were. Most likely. We fought the Void Hunters for centuries before being overwhelmed. Some of us managed to enter emergency shutdown rather than being destroyed. Sentinel's voice grew stronger as more power flowed into its systems. But now we know they can be defeated. Thanks to you, we have a way to fight back. A signal appeared on Jack's heads-up display. A transmission from the mining company wondering why he hadn't returned to his regular work route. He smiled and ignored it. Some things were more important than maintaining mining equipment. The knowledge of how to repair us, how to improve us. It's been inside humanity all along, Sentinel continued. Hidden in your genes, waiting for the right moment. The creators made Earth harsh not to punish humanity, but to ensure you would be ready when the time came. Jack thought about all the things humans had survived on Earth. Natural disasters, Extreme weather, constantly changing conditions. We always wondered why our world was so much harder than other inhabited planets. Turns out we were in training all along. More than training, Sentinel corrected. Evolution. Each generation of humans grew stronger, smarter, more adaptable. You learned to see patterns where others saw chaos, to find solutions where others saw only problems. A new set of coordinates appeared in Jack's display as Sentinel shared data with his suit's computer. "These are the locations of the other Guardians," he asked, seeing dots of light spread across a map of the galaxy. "Yes, some are close enough to reach with your current ships. Others will require humanity to develop better space travel. But they're waiting, and now humanity is ready to find them." Jack looked at the map, thinking of the challenge ahead. The Void Hunters will return, won't they? There are more of them out there. "Yes," Sentinel confirmed. "But now we know they can be defeated. Each Guardian you repair will make humanity stronger, teach you more about your true potential. And each human who helps us will learn and adapt, just as you did." The map zoomed out, showing the full scale of the galaxy. "It was no accident that humanity developed technology similar to ours," Sentinel explained. "Your minds were designed to understand our systems, to improve them. Every time humans solved a problem on Earth, you were practicing for this." Jack thought about the maintenance engineers, mechanics, and repair workers across Earth and its colonies. Ordinary people who had learned to fix things, to improve them, to make them work better. "We're going to need more people," he said. "A lot more." "They will come," Sentinel replied confidently. "The same instincts that drew you to investigate my signal will draw others to their nearest Guardian. The knowledge within them will awaken, just as it did in you." A new alert flashed in Jack's display. Ships approaching from the nearby mining station. Someone had finally noticed the energy readings from their battle with the Void Hunters. "Well," Jack said, checking his suit's systems one last time, "I guess it's time to explain to everyone why humanity has been fixing things all these years." He looked up at the massive Guardian, now his friend and partner in humanity's greatest challenge. "Ready to help me tell them?" "Ready," Sentinel replied, its surface beginning to glow with restored power. "It is time for humanity to understand their true purpose, not just as inhabitants of a death world, but as guardians of all reality." As the ships approached, Jack stepped back to look at his handiwork. From simple maintenance engineer to humanity's first active guardian, he had opened the door to his species' true destiny. The age of human engineers was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same.